Everyone relax. It is Sunday, the 13th of July. Welcome to Three Guys, Eight Cups in the Modern Era. My name is Adam Spencer.
And my name is Charlie Clausen. And I would say, due to popular request, Adam is behind the wheel. But it's more due to one request. You might remember we had an email from Dan a few weeks back saying, more Adam Spencer on the show, please. Two guys, two cups. I don't do math. And
love your work. Love your work, Dan. I love Dan's work, and I love the fact that Charlie fell for that when it was clearly an email from me.
Oh, was it really?
No. That is Dan. This is what Dan wants. And we give Dan what Dan wants on the Everyone Relax Network. Woo.
Well, it is appropriate, Spence, that you are guesting on this episode because I have just trudged back from Marvel Stadium. I'm in Melbourne to see my second live game for the year. And the Swans pipped the Saints at the post. Gotta say, hell of a contest. Actually a really fun game to be at. Like, normally a loss like that can leave you sort of like gnashing your teeth, but I think that was a win-win. Win for the Swans, kept their finals hopes alive. The Saints showed a bit, something to get excited about for the future. All good.
Cracking game of football first and foremost, and a really interesting game of not just two halves, but multiple sessions. You guys got the first two goals. We kicked 4 or 5 in a row and thought, oh, this looks like ours for a while. Then you kicked 5 or 6 in a row, and then both teams decided this might be more fun if we just seesaw it from here.
Yeah.
Great game of football. Also, a battle between two sides. I didn't realise until they mentioned your injury list as well, but two sides with most of the really tall guys they'd like to pick at the front and the back unavailable to be chosen at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. Which you could tell by the way the ball just kept going to Grundy. He's played a really good game. A hilarious moment where he was playing on a debutant for us, Max Heath, the Moose. And had the ball on the 50 and thought, here we go, another ruckman, first gamer, I can get around. Anytime a ruckman thinks that they can, wrong step someone, it always ends badly.
You mentioned a few weeks ago on the show that there's something bizarre about this sport, that the biggest, probably strongest guys on the field are the ones we just laugh at all the time. And even Brody got up having a good chuckle at what he said. As one of the commentary team said, Brodie Grundy has not been able to do that since under 14s, and what it was that made him think he could do it against a young buck with something to prove. And didn't your beautiful young Swedish lad have
Alex Taru
just ride football? He struggled a lot in the first quarter, directly gave up a couple of goals, and then bounced back, and the team got around him. Mate, that game was everything that was great about football. Really solid match.
Yeah, it was really fun. I mean, it's funny. There was clearly an agenda by the Swans forwards to get into him. Like they've been hearing the buzz because Will Hayward, like as soon as he made that first blue, really got into him. And then after that, you could tell he was rattled because the next two kicks were just shocking. But it was just not a game I was expecting. I honestly thought that maybe it would give a good shot and then the Swans would smoke us. But it had a bit of everything. Like, I think the one thing that separated the two teams is clearly you've got a team that played in a grand final last year, senior players with sharp skills, good decision-making, against some kids who just got like deer in their headlights in that last quarter. And also, I think we just ran out of puff. Like, you could obviously tell the stronger body, stronger legs towards the end of the game.
Yeah, there was a bit of it to that. There's no doubt about that, and it was just there was just energy from both sides running hard. The skills, sometimes a little bit of lack of skill, people putting pressure on each other. There's a few guys on that Swans team. Grundy's having the month of a career. He's playing beautiful football at the moment. If you had to guess who's going to win the Swans best and fairest this year, I'd be calling it as Brodie Grundy now. He's had a great season. That little tap to Errol Goulden for the final goal had a bit of the sort of Nick Davis here to save us feel about it. That was just a beautifully crafted piece of football. But your guys fought hard.
What's going on with Chad Warner, though? Like, did he get that fat contract and then he's like, oh, well, put my feet up for the rest of the year? He just doesn't seem to be the same Chad that we come to know.
I think we're judging him by exceptionally high standards. If you look at 22, 23, 24, which is where all the hype came from. Is he going to go back to Perth and that sort of stuff? It's an interesting one. I would have thought there's a degree of immediately after he re-signed, he had quite a few really solid games. I think one of the one of the things that does happen when you go up a gear like the Swans clearly did last year is teams start to put even more time into, well, what do we do to stop these guys? I mean, Isaac
Yeah.
Heaney was very close to the best player in the comp for the last couple of months of last season. Clearly, teams have done a lot of work on how do you slow him down. He still has massive impact on games, but not that every moment of all four quarters that he was doing a lot of the time last year. And, Chad's probably had a little bit of that as well. But the degree to which our team has improved since Errol's come back and Callum's come back is it's amazing to watch. And every team has injuries and you can't make excuses and all that. But when we didn't have Callum Mills, Tom Papley and Errol Goulden for about 12 weeks in a row, you could just see the quantum change when the three of those guys got back on the field together again.
So what do you want to do from here? Like, are you wanting a barnstorm towards the finals, or are you thinking, oh, well, like this year's a write-off, let's try and get a good draft pick? Where's your head at?
I'm happy to revisit the theme later, but the Swans can't make the finals. This talk of the Swans getting to the is just...
Okay, well, break it down mathematically. What are the odds?
If with Freo and GWS having both won games that they could have lost over the last weekend, if Freo and GWS had lost both of those, there was still a chance the Swans could make it. But we're 3 games behind Freo and GWS. We've got the Bulldogs in between us and them as well. Our percentage is not great, so we don't just have to win 3. We probably have to win 4 more than Freo and GWS. And 2 of our games are Geelong in Sydney, and we go to Brisbane 2 weeks before the finals. So as much as the AFL industry has to keep everyone guessing, you can absolutely put a line through a Sydney season. But with the greatest respect to a team like St Kilda, who you probably could continue to drop games and go, well, that's just going to be a slightly nicer draft pick. Culturally, but also just financially, Sydney can't afford to go, okay, let's take the foot off the pedal a bit and see if we can creep up the draft order a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I feel like maybe you're the wrong person to ask because you are very knowledgeable about the game. But can we do a vibe check on the ladder, or have you read it and memorized it?
No.
All right. Perfect.
I love Will's vibe checks, and I've not actually looked at it at all.
Okay, great.
I did watch most games this weekend, but I didn't.
Okay. You're perfectly positioned for a vibe check. Okay, so who's on top?
Okay, Collingwood's lead at the top of the table will have been trimmed, but they would still be number 1.
They are clear. Game and a half clear. Who's in second position?
I'm imagining Brisbane, having won on the weekend, have maintained second position.
Yeah, you are correct there. Now, this is interesting, right? Because it sort of feels like they've been the 2 most outstanding teams for the year and potentially could be playing off in a replay grand final this year, doesn't it? Like, when you think of, I think there's some contenders, but when it comes to 2 outstanding teams, like you just look at, for different reasons, like Brisbane are just chock full of talent, just freaks across the field. I mean, we can talk about the Carlton game, although I sort of feel like it's a moot point at this stage. Like I'm really, this is not what I was expecting from season 2025. The amount of like sympathy I have for Carlton supporters, like you just want this season to end, don't you? Like the players have checked out. It feels like the coaches have checked out. Like what are we even doing here?
I sent you that footage the other week when they were being looked after by Collingwood, and the Collingwood cheer squad was singing to TDK when the Saints go marching in, and he was trying so hard to pretend that he could not hear thousands of people singing the St Kilda theme song at him.
But what do you do? Like it's just one of those things where you're sort of scratching your head a little bit, aren't you? Because, as we sort of talked about last week, they've done every kind of coaching trick. They've tried an experienced coach. They've tried a premiership coach. They've tried a new coach. They've tried the favourite son. And that hasn't worked. They've assembled a good list, like a dual Brownlow medalist, And I understand the drop off from those top 5 players, but like, is it a teardown job? Is it a fire sale? Is it a start? Like, because it almost feels like if you are gonna, do some wholesale changes, or they keep talking about, like, the weird thing is, like, talking about Graham Wright, the new footy director coming in, and he's a footy guy, and he'll get things done. But But what is the answer? Because if you are doing a radical change, then surely that means the coach can't stay. Because how do you do a radical change with the same people in charge? But if he goes, then that's a rebuild. And if you're, I don't know, I just like I would hate to be, on the board at Carlton at the moment.
Oh, and they would be looking at something like Hawthorn's, you say 15-minute, but realistically 18-month rebuild, and just the quality of people they've picked in mid-season drafts and things like that. They'd be looking at Cadman from GWS, who was a number one draft pick, thinking, how does GWS get a number one draft pick who's 6'4" and kicks 6 goals in a half of football? There are, as you said, it is bizarre that a team that's got multiple Coleman medalist winners, former number one draft picks, Brownlow medalists, ... have just clearly lost the self-belief as they have over the last few weeks. And that must be the thing that's most galling for the fans to watch.
Well, our mate Terry, like he keeps referring to the soul, like they're not playing with any soul. And I've always been a bit kind of iffy about people talking about culture of a club because I sort of feel like, well, they're professional athletes and it's just a building. Like how can a club have a brand or a soul? Like it's just everything changes and turns over. But I can't argue with the fact that when you watch Carlton play the last 3 weeks, there's nothing there. Like it feels like the entire team is injured or something like that. There's just this real lack of urgency or passion Charlie Curnow he in a lot of ways is the barometer, right? Like such an enigma, so much talent, can turn a game in a 5-minute burst, but he's not getting near it. And I just, like St Kilda's had a bad year, but I understand that like we are rebuilding. That's kind of acknowledged. But if you're Carlton, you came into this season thinking, all right, I'd played a prelim 2 years ago, played finals last year. We'll load up and go again. But now are you thinking, okay, we're not loading up? Like we are. I just don't understand. You know what I mean? Like, is this a teardown renovation? Is this just we need a new bathroom? Like, what's the deal?
Yeah, and because the thing, I mean, you can see it in an individual player. You can see an individual player who's lost a bit of confidence. And you can see their performance drop off for a few weeks. And so it's a confidence game. That person hasn't forgotten how to kick. They haven't got significantly less fit in the space of a fortnight or whatever. You can see their confidence ebb. Well, if you multiply that by 23, if deep down every player on that field is just not confident that they individually or the group can get the job done, that's when you start to hear cliches like coaches have lost the confidence of players, etc. If deep down they don't think it's going to work, then they just can't find that extra 10% to keep up with, the really good teams like Brisbane, and in some cases even some of the teams that aren't some of the best teams in the comp at the moment. You can't see where their next win comes from.
Well, that's it. As you're talking, I'm looking ahead to next week because it's like, they've had Collingwood, they've had Brisbane, like who have they got next week? And it's like...
they got Melbourne next week, maybe?
Okay. All right. Well, there's a chance there. There's a chance. I mean, the D's did have a win today, but I mean, it's almost in some ways like you don't want to paper over the cracks. Like, what's the point of it? Like a sugar hit? It's almost like you need to sit and really see how bad you are to know where this rebuild starts. But let's get back to the vibe check. We got distracted talking about Carlton, as we have often this year on Two Guys One Cup. So who do you think is in the third position on the ladder?
I would think a lot of the fans of this club would be wondering, if it is who I think it is, would be wondering why are we talking about Carlton so much? Why is Carlton getting so many of the headlines when the Adelaide Crows, is it them? Are just purring along.
Aren't they? Under the radar. If the AFL was Big Brother, the Adelaide Crows are doing a good job of not getting evicted because that's right. Like huge win over the Bulldogs who fucking talk about flaky Freo and whatever. The fucking Bulldogs just went, I mean...
Flat track Bulldogs, as I called them a couple of months ago.
Flat track
Bulldogs.
Cannot beat anyone above them on the ladder. And this wasn't just like a loss. This was like a convincing victory by the Adelaide Crows. Like Thilthorpe kicked 6 goals. Isaac Rankin's on fire. But what do you make of the Doggies? It's just like...
And does it put Adelaide have leapt to 48, and so they're now 1 win ahead of the big clutch of teams. So it's a massive result.
Correct. Huge result for them. And one that I sort of feel like every year there's a team that is in the finals mix that you just sort of forget about.
Mm.
But I mean, they're half a game off the Lions and only 2.5 games off Collingwood. That's incredible for a team that didn't play finals last year. So,
Yeah.
all right. Okay. Who's in fourth position? Losers. That's my clue.
Yeah. Now we've now got a clutch of teams on 44,
Yeah.
haven't we? So it's going to come down.
The rest of the teams in the 8 all on the same point. So it's a question of percentage now.
I would imagine Geelong's percentage is the best of the teams on 44.
And you'd be 100% correct. Geelong is tucked into fourth position.
And despite having lost to another team who aren't fit, after Geelong, Gold Coast's percentage would be pretty solid, wouldn't it?
This is amazing. Yep, you're 5 for 5. Who is in sixth position? More bloody losers in sixth position.
Yeah, the remaining 3 teams in some order would be Hawthorn, Freo, Giants. I'd guess Hawthorn.
Correct, in sixth place.
Giants, Freo.
Oh, mate, well done. Oh, so good to have someone on the show who knows something about football. Yeah, and so now the 8's taken shape. You got the Bulldogs 1 game out of the 8, but that's a precarious position to be in now. And then, like you said, the Swannies are 2 games out. 3 games out, really, 2 games off the Bulldogs.
Yeah. And so the Swans would have to make up that 3-game gap and pull up almost 15 or 20% or something in percentages, and win at least 2 games more than the. We'd have to win 3 games more than the Bulldogs, because the Bulldogs have a massive percentage, I think, for a team that's not actually the 8.
That's right. Yeah,
they are those flat track Bulldogs.
If the Bulldog, I mean, and this is how tight it is. If the Bulldogs had won against the Crows, they would be in 4th position, and now they're in 9th. Like, that hurts. That really stings if you're a Doggies fan.
And I mean, a couple of great games in there. Got the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Game was fantastic on the weekend.
Amazing. Such a great game, and you just knew that the Pies were coming. Like, you were just waiting for it. And when they got that run on it, it felt kind of irrepressible. And then Noah Anderson, what a gun. Like, he's such a good footballer, and you just love to see, like, a captain just give the ball to me. Like, that's how he sealed the game, just that break from the centre. A little bit of a side note, I flew from the Gold Coast to Melbourne on Saturday, and I was actually on the plane with a bunch of Collingwood players. So they must have taken, like, there would have been an earlier flight that I think would have had the bulk of the players, and then there was some support staff and about, I'd say, like 10 Pies. So first thing that surprised me is, do teams not have to wear uniforms anymore? I thought teams travelled in there like they had like a travel kit, like a polo and shorts and a sports bag, because they're all just on there, whatever, like just in,
total cities.
Yeah, total cities, grubby cities. Well, what I was wondering about it is, because there was so many Pies nuffies on the flight as well, was this a chance? Did the club say, hey, so maybe you've got a little bit more anonymity, just where you do you reckon that might be a reason why they weren't travelling in colours?
From the little bit of experience I've had with Collingwood fans, Charlie, if you're flying from Melbourne to the Gold Coast, I think you can spot every person on that list, even if they are wearing Russell Crowe loudest voice type 4 hours in the makeup chair before you even get out to the airport. But I mean, it was great to see, because I mean, I think we all felt for Collingwood. I think the stat was in heading to the Gold Coast, that was the first time they'd left Melbourne in 67 days, but thankfully was the last time they'll have to leave Melbourne for the remainder of the AFL season if they finish top of the table. So, thoughts and prayers.
It is a game structured around inequities. The other observation I would make is, earlier in the season we were naming our AFL hotties, and Jamie Elliott.
Now, you up close any collie hotties?
Mate, a few people suggested Jamie Elliott, and I was kind of a bit lukewarm on it. But then I saw him in the flesh, and he's got a bit of like, he looks like a guy who was in a boy band and is now sort of reached, like, he's aging out of that sort of teen idol. He's quite striking, and I can't confirm this. I think I texted you, but I don't know this for sure. But I think I sat next to his dad, because I sat next to a guy because he's got very distinct eyes, Jamie Elliott. You know, those
Yep.
those those
Yep.
spellbinding eyes.
Yes. Those boy band eyes.
Those boy band eyes.
Yeah.
And there was an older bloke sitting like 2 rows behind him who looked exactly like him. And I wasn't game enough to say, "Are you Jamie Elliott's dad?" Because it might have been weird if he had
I
nothing to do
like
with
the
the club
boy
at
band
all.
call also because, as you know, boy bands need each of these particular types of characters. And with the tats, and he's
Yes.
got that cute but intense look,
Mm,
he's the designated bad boy in the boy band. He's the one who just, this band is what's helped him find a way out and just straighten out his life. But he just has this unquenchable talent and love for music and choreographed dancing and things like that. But the thing I loved most about that game was outside of finals, GWS have played a couple of prelims and things like that. And obviously, a fair bit of the crowd was the Collingwood fans as well. But
mm.
that's one of the newest 2 franchises home ground in a regular season game, absolutely packed to the gunnels
Yeah.
and rocking.
It did be. Well, you would be disappointed because I know it was a sellout, but I looked at that and it didn't look like a sellout to me. I mean, I don't know if there's some kind of creative accounting going on in terms of ticket sales, but that to me did not look like a full house. Speaking of one of those expansion clubs, huge win for them over the Cats. Cats got away to an early start and then they got pegged back.
Mm.
Now, the Giants are a bit like Adelaide for me in the sense that I sort of got off them big time early in the season because they were playing some bad football, but they're just chipping away, just racking up the wins. How do you feel as someone who is a noted, is hater a too strong a word for GWS, or is it just part of the friendly Sydney rivalry?
Oh, no, I respect the strength of the Sydney GWS rivalry sufficiently, and I respect how much they've come on as a team, that I do them the respect of really not liking them.
Okay, yeah, good. But
Yeah.
you've got to admit that they are just getting shit together at the right time of the year.
Oh, yeah, and again, it comes back to you because you lose track of this now that they've been there a few years. Because we know when they started, they had an incredible roster of top 10 draft picks they'd been given to
Mm,
establish them as a club.
yep.
But they were all 18-year-old kids, so for the first couple of years got destroyed. Then got into a period where you had all these top 10 draft picks playing, getting towards the height of their powers, and they were a formidable team, made the 2019 grand final, blah, blah. But as those players have been traded out, they've been traded in for other top 10 draft picks. So the system just keeps rolling. If you look at the way that they ended up getting, basically, from what I understand, in losing Taranto and Hopper, 2 fantastic players, they picked up 3 and 12 in the draft,
Yeah.
swapped 3 with North Melbourne to get number 1 in the draft to help make the Jason Horn-Francis mega deal come together. And suddenly GWS, who, with the greatest of respect to them, have not needed a number 1 draft pick for a while, end up with Aaron Cadman, who's an absolute monster and is going to be gigantic for them.
Yeah. I mean, you talk to like a friend of the show, Alex Williams, and anytime they would get like it's spoiled for choice, anytime they get a top 10 draft pick, it's just like, oh, just Scrooge McDuck style, just toss it into the basement full of gold coins that they've already got. Like, I mean,
because when they got set, I mean, Eddie McGuire was saying how we created a Frankenstein club and all that sort of stuff, and they haven't won 8 flags, so I don't think they've gone and created anything. They didn't necessarily create something too strong in the era 2019 or 2023 or something, but this will just keep rolling on. And I think that sort of experience is what's making people think about talking about when Tasmania comes through. If you are going to give them a stack of first round draft picks, they might have to trade out half of those to sign more experienced players and redistribute those top 10 picks amongst other clubs rather than just grabbing a giant clutch of players themselves. And also meaning that it's going to be a very bad time to be a struggling club if a new team gets another couple of years where they can keep all the really top end draft picks. And I think the case of Aaron Cadman probably even strengthens the argument for being a little bit more sophisticated in the way the Devils are obviously need to be set up, and the way those sort of picks are allocated early on, because otherwise you get this situation that just rolls through, it seems, for generations of players.
Now, we used to do a segment on this show about our one of our favourite commentators, Dwayne Russell. It was called what's it called?
Brain Dwayne?
Oh, hang on, I got the opener. Here we go.
Brain Dwayne.
Now, we haven't, we've revived that segment for one specific reason. There was a bit of commentary that caught your attention in the Giants-Cats game. Dwayne was quite taken with the kicking of Brian Myers, and he said this.
He is amazing, Brian Myers. He could kick it to you through the open windows of a passing car.
And this, I mean, this is just everything that's great about Dwayne. The passion with which he said it, he clearly hadn't been thinking. He didn't have to think about it for a while and come back. It wasn't one of those. Sometimes you get the commentators doing the clunky, just a few seconds too late or whatever pun. That's just come out naturally. It's either an incredibly rare saying or something he's just made. Have you ever heard that description of accurate kicking, that he could kick it through the open, not window, singular, windows of a passing car?
No. Oh, I didn't even pick up on that. So he's saying like he's so accurate he can go through one window and out the other. Is that what he's saying?
You can come through front passenger and leave rear driver's side and still hit the person you're aiming for. And I presume he's saying regardless of the speed at which the car is travelling or the make and model, therefore you could probably even dob it through a sunroof if you wanted, if you're Grime. I just thought that was just Dwayne at his absolute best.
There's a Mythbusters episode in this. I could see you and Dr. Carl doing an episode of like, what velocity would the ball have to be travelling at? How fast would the car need to be moving?
The small problem there is you'd be getting Dr. Carl to do something about sport. And for all of his genius, I've met very few people on earth who know less about any sport than Dr. Carl. I was with Carl, Charlie, at the moment that he realised that Shane Warne and Steve Waugh were two different people. He's kidding me? They both begin with S and W, but they've both got 5 letters in both of their names. They play the same sport. You're telling me they're two different people. So I'd probably be doing a fair bit of the heavy lifting. Carl could do the physics.
Yeah.
I'd have to explain to him who Dwayne Russell was and what a football was.
Now, something else that is unusual for this show is, I'm normally the person who has to set the agenda, but you've come in with some things that you wanted to talk about. First of all was this in-season tournament that was floated by the AFL at the start of last week. So this idea being either a concurrent or an off-season tournament, not for points that would count in the premiership season, but for prize money. I'm assuming that was I read the article, but that's the main attraction, right? It's just it's a prize money thing.
It was very vague as to what was being described, but the one thing it was modelled on what was pretty successful in the NBA, a series of footy games during the year. The results from them alone will determine the winner of a mini competition. Now, whether you played it as a block of games in the middle of the season, whether you allocated every third or fourth round once a month for about a 4-month stretch.
Yeah.
Some of the articles I read suggested the points would just count to the regular season and there could be prize money as well. Others said the points could count for the regular season, not necessarily prize money, but the team that won that in-season comp would get an automatic finals berth. And so it would only then be the top 7 and that. So you could conceivably, you could win the in-season comp by halfway through the season, then just tank the rest of the season to get yourself a great draft pick the next round, knowing that you're playing final. You could rest players for 3 or 4 weeks and all sorts of it sounded to me too cute by half. If there are things in this game that need to be tinkered with a little bit, I don't think creating a mid-season in-competition mini-tournament is what the people who love this game are screaming out for at the moment.
It kind of feels like the AFL was sort of like just sounding out their wife for a threesome. It's a bit like, hey, An in-season tournament might be fun. That'd be ridiculous. Yeah, right. It would be ridiculous. It would be ridiculous. But, like there is this kind of, we're
Yeah,
going
I'm
to
not
throw
saying our
this up.
sport, but I heard in basketball.
Yeah.
You heard of what basketball get up to in the middle
I
of
heard
the
it
year?
spiced up the NBA. I mean, it sort of get the NBA going really well. I mean, I also think that like footy fans, particularly Aussie rules fans, are very conservative. Like even this idea of moving the grand final to an evening slot, like is. And it was interesting because I did 3AW before the game today, and I was chatting to Tony Shaw, and there was a caller who called in about State of Origin saying, "Oh, we've got to get State of Origin back. Look how big it's been for the NRL, and we don't have any marquee games like that beyond the grand final." And Tony Shaw was saying, "Yeah, but even when we had State of Origin, it didn't matter to the players the way it does in the NRL. That is their grand final, essentially. Like that is the game that the players get themselves up for. It's 100 and, whatever, 30, 50 years of saying that it's about the premiership season. It's the game home and away leading up to the finals. I don't think you can just create an NBA style wild card tournament or whatever and have people embrace it. Like every time they've tried something flashy, like AFLX, whatever, there's a bit of cultural cringe about it. Like it doesn't, we don't have the population, we don't have the numbers. And I don't even think, like, I understand the reasoning behind it. They want to get eyeballs on the game, more sponsors, free to airs dying. Like that's the other crazy thing. Being in Melbourne, and I know like I'm sort of late to the party on this, but being in Melbourne on a Saturday and having no football on free to air is mind boggling. Like for someone who grew up here and, that was your Saturday, was you just be watching footy on a Saturday night. And it's like, you've got to go on Foxtel or KO to watch footy. That just seems crazy. But I also understand the economics of it. So I understand the reason why they want to do it, but I don't know. I think
the one thing I would suggest is if you are, keeping it with the asking your partner if they want to have a threesome analogy, if you are going to go down that path, I'd be a lot clearer the moment you made the first suggestion as to whether there is prize money involved. If people are getting paid for that. Does this count for competition points or not? Because I think the devil's in that. If you can't answer those questions when you propose a threesome, you're going to find yourself in it's a communications issue as much as anything, Charlie.
I mean, I wondered too if it's something you would look at for. So the VFL, the second tier competition is facing a bit of an issue next season because I don't know. There's going to be like 19 teams, I think, in the VFL because St Kilda are going alone, so that means Sandy and St Kilda will be there. Tassie's coming in, so I think maybe if they're going to invest the money, maybe invest it at a secondary level and just see how that works and see if there's interest in it. Because I just sort of feel like it'll be like everything else that they've tried with the AFLX of it all, where you'll spend a bunch of money on it. It'll be half-assed. Fans will be confused. They won't know what's going on. But if you can sort of get it going or a version of it going at an ammo level or in the waffle or NEFL or wherever it is, then maybe there's a better chance of getting it up in the national competition. But it seems too much to suddenly be like, hey, all of a sudden. The one thing, though, the one idea I did like was the idea of it was like the Dirty Dozen, bring someone out of retirement, bring Buddy back, like bring back Joel Selwood. Like I think that's a great idea. I'm definitely for a one last hurrah kind of round where every team gets to bring back one of their legends whose knees and hips are still okay.
Yeah, I think the only people who would oppose that are the legends being dragged. Because you've seen even in that experiment they do called the Carlton Draft, where immediately retired superstars go and play a game of country footy. And for every Daisy Thomas where he helped a team who'd lost by 160 points to win week before to have a club history-defining win, there's Lee Montagna lasting about 14 seconds before going, I've blown a calf. Nathan Buckley, I'm pretty sure, did a hammy not long after the warm-up. So bringing back the legends might involve also having a vet on the sidelines with a shotgun and a tarpaulin just to put them out of their misery halfway through the first quarter.
I mean, someone suggested to me, like up near where I live, there's the Byron Bay Magpies have like a Masters League. Like, I guess it's 40 plus. Yeah. And someone was suggesting I play. And I was like, listen, the last time I attempted to get in a football field, it was an AFL 9s team that the home and away crew put together. And I broke my toe in the first 5 minutes and couldn't fucking walk for a month. Yep. It's like, there's no way I'm getting back into contact sport at this age. I would break in half.
No. Now let me peer it. So the next bit I want to put on the agenda. I'm calling this mid part of the show Common
Yep.
Spence. Okay, this is Common Spence. So first thing,
Okay,
Common Spence.
great. Oh,
No,
I wish we had a sting for it.
no mid-season tournament. It makes Common Spence. Secondly, the reason you're right, Charlie, we should be investing more in the VFL level, the future of the game, that sort of stuff, is because I think we saw pretty comprehensive evidence over the weekend in the Richmond Essendon game
Oh, yeah.
that this is not a league that is suffering from an overabundance of too many talented players. That was, I mean, look, to put this in perspective, Charlie, you and I know how television works, yes? The idea of television is to keep people watching television. The soap operas you used to have, that had the cliffhanger ending to make people come back, yeah? I don't watch Dancing with the Stars, but the gym I'm at plays the ads for Dancing with the Stars, and from what I can tell, every week for the last 6 weeks, someone's done an incredibly controversial dance you're not going to believe, right? Keeping people watching, keep them coming. All this talk about Sydney's brave run to the finals is all just to keep people watching the football. For the last quarter of the Richmond Essendon game, the commentators on air were openly apologising to the fans for what they were watching. I've never heard TV commentators turn on a game they were calling as uniformly, as nastily, and they were laughing at each other's one-upping. How bad, just...
So paint me a picture, because you were texting me last night. I was watching the Freo Hawks game, and then I was like, oh, look, I couldn't believe the scoreline. I thought it was quarter time when I saw the final score, because it was like, 42-13 or 37 or something like that. I didn't go back and watch it. Did you actually? What was going on? Why was it so bad? Was it like poor skills? Was it ultra contested?
I don't think the three-quarter time or full-time score was much different from the quarter-time score.
Right.
At quarter-time, it was 3-4 to 3 goals straight. So Richmond, okay, we're on 22. Essendon were on 18 at quarter-time.
Oh, God.
In the next half of football, there was 1 goal and 15 behinds kicked. Richmond went from 3-4 to 3-9. Essendon went from 3 dot to 4-10. And Essendon kicked another 3 behinds in the last quarter, and then Richmond kicked a couple of goals, a couple of which were quite reasonable goals, and won it. But until about the last 5 minutes of the match, from quarter time until the last 5 minutes of the match, there'd been 2 goals and 23 behinds kicked in, and some of it was, Keystone Cops type. If the skill required to deliberately drop a mark and kick it back into your own face as you're tumbling over the sideline is something that has rarely been seen before. To the 52,000 people who went out to watch it, you love your football clubs and it's fantastic. But it was, even tonight on the summary of the round on one of those big football media shows, and they have a segment on your Amy clangers, and Campbell Brown said, we could have shown you 100 clangers from the last quarter of the Richmond Essendon game alone. So it's being held up as the benchmark of it was a tough night at the office for everyone.
In the same way that the Crows have had a low-key great season, I think Carlton's taken a lot of attention away from the horrendous season that the Bombers have been having, and that's not their fault. In fact, the fact that they've won 6 games, or is it 5 games this year, is a testament to the fact that they've had no players available. And then Nick Martin has done his ACL, I saw as well, which is, can you imagine?
That was because you can joke about the skill errors. It was really unfortunate, a couple of the injuries that came out of that game. And Essendon, their season has just unravelled around them. And that part of it was horrible to watch.
It just makes me wonder, though, if there's something like Essendon and Carlton, there's 2 Victorian behemoths, foundation clubs who dominated for decades. And now it's like they're paying the piper. Who do you pay? The I don't know, when when it's time to pay the guy, I don't know, whatever. They're fucked, is what I'm saying. And it feels like, is it karma? What's going on?
Are you suggesting they had a Faustian bargain with the devil?
A Faustian
and
bargain. That's it. It's time to play the Tolman or whatever
the Faustian bargain is now being called in. Well, I mean, yeah, you've got from 12th down at the moment. Carlton 12th, Melbourne 13th, Essendon close to them as well, like 14th or 15th, and Richmond still second last. You've got 4, in theory, powerhouse clubs. So no disrespect to Melbourne, at least 3 of the big 4 or 5, really languishing and not showing any great signs of improving soon.
Well, Richmond, this is a good season for Richmond. This is more than any of us expected. Like, as bad as that game on the weekend was, like, this is actually a good season for Richmond. They've blooded some youngsters. Like, they'd be wrapped with 4 wins for the season.
Yeah.
West Coast.
One thing to come out of the other night was to see the Richmond faithful up and about and celebrating like that after a game of that quality shows how much the win meant to them.
Yeah. It's just West Coast to the other one as well. So it's 1 win for the season now against St Kilda. You're welcome. You're welcome, West Coast fans. But it's just, you wonder how long that can go on as well. They're a rare breed, Western Australia, like West Coast fans, because they turn up rain, hail or shine. There's 45,000 20-year waiting list on their membership. But you do wonder at some point, right? Like, because I don't think they're as bad as everyone thinks they are, but they're still not winning games. And they're going to lose a whole. McGovern's retired. Tim Kelly's probably done. They're going to lose a whole bunch of players this year.
Tim Kelly's been extended until 2027.
What?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, okay. That seems.
Oh, you haven't been watching the volcano. Oh, the volcano erupted Mount Vesuvius style a couple of weeks ago. After that,
I'm sure he was very moderated in his response to that, Kane. Although I did see, I mean, I don't know why I keep taking the bait, but before the Swans Saints game, he was like, "Oh, this will be a dour, uninteresting slog," and it's just like, shut up, mate. Like, shut. And that's the other thing too. I want to say, just to defend my coach a bit. Anytime St Kilda's involved in a game where it's low scoring or defensive, it's always like, "Oh, Ross Lyon's running football." Yet how many fucking games were there this weekend where teams have failed to like score over 10 goals and no one brings it up? It's only when it's Ross Lyon. I think he's like, people have this idea of this is how Ross Lyon used to coach like in his first era at the Saints. He doesn't coach like that anymore. It's just this lazy commentary.
The Swans Saints today was 2 teams absolutely going at it. Can I just say in summary about Richmond Essendon?
Yeah.
I watched it and I was watching, because I'm in Sydney watching it, so I was watching on one of the Channel 7 subsidiary 7 Plus network things. And immediately after it finished, they went to an episode of, remember Holy Moly, the putt-putt golf challenge game with Matt Shervington and that American comic whose name I don't know co-hosting?
Yeah.
I saw more skill in 5 minutes of Holy Moly than I saw in 2 hours of Richmond Essendon. That's all I'm saying. It makes common Spence.
We're going to get that
final
sting.
thing on my agenda, Charlie.
Yeah.
And I do. This one has been bugging me, and it bugged me a bit in our game this afternoon. I'm worried this year that a really, really, an important game, a major final or similar, is going to be decided with an umpire shouting, "Play on, not 15," when it's clearly gone significantly more than 15 metres.
It's one of the most inconsistently ruled or adjudicated rules in the game, that one. And I think it has to do with like the angle that the umpires are on. Like on certain angles, like distance looks shorter and they don't judge it. But I agree. It's so frustrating.
It's always been, they've always been, and it's remarkably hard to measure it on the run. They've always been unduly impacted by the intensity with which the ball is kicked. If someone just kicks it softly, they often start shouting when it's in midair. But clearly this season, the directive was, we want the game to keep moving. So if you're in any doubt, just say play on. But we're regularly seeing now kicks across the defensive line, from one fullback to another switching direction, that are clearly more than 15 metres. And players marking it going back. There was one today where Riley Bice was called to play on, our sub, 3 or 4 times, and no one reacted to it because the kick had clearly gone beyond. I'm just really worried someone's going to get pinged for holding the ball in front of their own goal with 2 minutes to go in a prelim or something like that. When they then go back and run the tape over it during the week, it's seen to have gone 22 metres or
And it'll
something.
be
It's creeping up.
And the team on the losing end of that decision will undoubtedly be the Adelaide Crows.
Yes.
The Adelaide Crows will barnstorm into the grand final. Scores will be tied. They'll be trying to do a chip kick across the forward 50. It'll be play on not 15. The siren will go. They'll lose.
It'll be a restart, kicked from the top of the square out beyond the 50-metre arc, and an umpire will still call it play it on. Though I was at the Adelaide Oval just a couple of weeks ago, Charlie, and that post that ball hit for the Swans Adelaide 2.5 years ago from Ben Keys is still wobbling. That's how hard that one hit the post.
Now, Spence, as you're aware, people have been writing in with our coach competition. What games and sports would the coaches play? This came in from Ben. Let's make coaching contests medieval. Hello, Will and Charlie, and for the purposes of this episode, Spence. Having just returned from travelling around the UK and Ireland, all the castles and historical medieval artefacts gave me an idea for what could be a great contest for the coaches. Jousting.
Oh, superb.
To add an extra element to this, instead of riding horses, a select player from each team is their stallion. Ooh. Would it be better to select a ruck or a shorter midfielder who has more speed and agility? Would it be more fun to watch if the player was galloping on all fours with the coach on their back or sitting atop of their shoulders, charging forward at full speed? Furthermore, I think it could be implemented to eliminate draws from the game. If scores are level at the final siren, the coaches select their steeds from the playing group and the stage is set for a final joust down. Imagine if this is how the 2010 grand final was decided. No doubt, like if St Kilda makes another grand final and it's a draw, they'll bring in jousting and we'll lose. And then there'll be a rule change.
This is a beautiful piece of happenstance. I'm uniquely qualified to answer this, Charlie, because I'm one of the very few people in the world of Australian sporting commentary who has ever commentated elite-level jousting.
You have?
About 7 or 8 years ago, there's a place in Sydney called the St Ives Showground where they have a series of different community things during the year, and every year they have the St Ives Medieval Fair. And it's where people will go and they basically cosplay in that sort of medieval. The guys walk around like knights. The women are either fair maidens or wizards and all sorts of things. And they had, as part of their big medieval fair a few years ago, a day of jousting, and it got sponsored, and Fox Sports did the commentary for it. And I was doing back page on Fox, and so me and Adam Peacock and Brendan and the team commentated on the jousting. It's amazing. It's really dangerous. It's the grand final of it all had to after about the second or third run. On the second or third run, one of the jousting sticks broke, snapped, and went up under the visor into the face of one of the two. The occasional person has died, but it's incredible. You can't take your eyes off it. And these horses go at each other absolutely. So a couple of things. It's a great question. Couple of things you'd need to know here.
Yeah.
I think the horse, rather than necessarily a big bullocking steed like a Lloyd Meek or a Rowan Marshall or something like that, or a faster, sleeker, to be honest, I think the horse just has to be pretty stupid.
Okay, yeah.
Whoever you pick as your steed has to be either fearless or just so dumb they don't realise the danger they are putting themselves in.
Yeah, I think I would definitely be choosing a ruckman just because I think you just want to get up speed and have them lumber towards their opponent. But the question really is about the coach, right? So
and the challenge then becomes the Swans. We're cooked. You tell me anyone who can carry
Dean Cox on their shoulders.
Dean Cox at speed.
You're right, and that means like that Craig McRae Fly has got an immediate advantage. I mean, I also think that like the Scott brothers, I could imagine. I think that you talk about there is a chance you might die. I think if you're going up against the Scots, you should take that as more than a 50-50.
Yeah, I would think. If you're talking which of the AFL coaches looks most like a medieval knight, Chris Scott's got to be a podium finish for that, with that beautiful flick of hair, and he's a slightly older, wiser. He's survived a few battle campaigns. He's back, but he's totally got the knight look. And there's something about the sheer. Bevo could be has got a bit of bad knight about him.
I could see that. I mean, good luck finding a helmet that's going to fit over that neck.
That's the problem, and also he'd be really worried about chipping a tooth. There is
could work to his advantage, though. Imagine that. You're charging in towards Bevo, he flicks the visor up, he flashes those veneers, and bang, you can't see a thing. You're off the horse.
There's something about the sheer muscularity of Adam Kingsley.
Yeah. He could hold a jousting stick. You could see that just under one of those pipes for sure.
Yeah, he's got some real Game of Thrones. I think we have finally found one that Justin Longmuir is not the natural winner of, which is a good thing too for this competition.
I mean, it's ironic that John Longmire had to retire 1 year before a horse was required.
Well, if you're allowed, if we do it during the AFL in-season competition where we're allowed to bring back superstars, if Dean Cox could ride John Longmire,
right,
then I think you've got something going on.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, I think it's got to be a young enough coach to be able to hold the joust. So that rules out Fags, Line, bunch of coaches. But I think you're right. It's got to be a strong enough steed to carry the coach. And the only way that's working is if you bring John Longmire back. That's how the succession plan should have worked.
And are we overlooking that clearly Damien Hardwick is going to win on Matt Rowell?
Oh my God! That's why Matt Rowell's been eating the grass the whole time.
Exactly. You've got Matt Rowell leading to this moment. Eats a bit of grass and then just bullocks.
Is that what has been going on and we were just too blind to see? It's like, why has Matt Rowell been in the grass? They've been fucking pumping him with horse hormones, knowing that this jousting competition...
He is a horse.
It's coming up. All right. Well, I think we've got to win it. Damien Hardwick would win the coach jousting competition.
And Charlie, one last little Easter egg treat I've prepared for the listeners of Two Guys, One Cup, because as a listener myself, we love hearing you and Will just free-form ideas on the run, and then sometimes there's those moments where you've almost created something great, but then your agenda moves on, and so I took a little bit of time. Last week, do you recall you and Will were marrying the passing of the great Peter Russell Clark,
yes,
TV celebrity chef, and the theme song to his Come and Get It TV show as a potential theme song for the Tassie Devils.
Oh, yes.
And you put a couple of ideas out there. It was sort of scanning a little bit. You were doing amazingly recalling that iconic song that you'd watch after the goodies before having dinner with mum and dad. I've taken the liberty of creating an official Tassie Devils Come and Get It style theme song. It touches on some topical issues in football. It also shows the ability of our beautiful brothers and sisters in Tasmania to have a bit of a laugh at their own expense. So it should be there in the file, mate. Why don't you give us a play and tell me what you think?
All right, here we go.
Tassie Devils, pride of the Apple Isle. Tassie Devils, the team that makes us smile. Tassie Devils, the stadium is buzzing. Tassie Devils, on a date with my first cousin. Smash an eagle, thrash a docker, and watch Carlton play a shocker. We stand still on the mark, and then it's boner after dark. Tassie Devils will win it every time. See you soon. Soon. Fuck me. The wrong last word. And because when you see the team win at the end and they've just all sung it in the rooms and then they all celebrate, and at the end it's all sort of woo, whoa, woo, woo. If it's just 23 guys standing around Peter Russell Clark style just saying, fuck this, fuck that.
Oh, fucking that, fuck me, shit, fuck. Great stuff, Spence. Thank you so much for the song, and thank you so much for filling in for Will today. Where's the best place people can find you online these days?
If people go to adamspencer.com.au, I put out a weekly nerdy newsletter about artificial intelligence and all sort of stuff, geekery. Go to adamspencer.com.au to find out what I'm up to.
And we're on Patreon, patreon.com/Everyone Relax. Best way to support the show still. Get ad-free episodes of everything we do at Everyone Relax, plus early releases and full videos of shows just like this. We'll be back again next week. I think Will be back from Bali for I was going to say back tanned and fit, but let's be honest, Will's probably never leaving the villa. He'll be back. He'll be back for more Two Guys, One Cup. For now, play on, not 15.
Stand, 50.
Little footy-loving dickheads, dreaming about a Premiership Cup. We love our clubs, but they never win. 2 flags in 100 years. The shit house. If you think we'll be insightful, clever, or just well researched, we're here to say that's not the case. We'll just go out and wing it. We are 2 guys, 1 cup.